Hello and welcome to another Project Diablo 2 video. I am Core and today I'm going to be going over my Season 11 controller build. Let's get into it. Alright, so I made an Amazon that I primarily use a controller for, and it is a pure physical Strafe Son. So let's go over some of the things that you will need to make this build. So first off, you need really good IAS. So this is with a fanaticism from my mercenary, but you need 50 IAS. On top of that, I also believe you need 100% Pierce, you need Life Leech, you need Mana Leech. So once you have all those different things, you want as much run walk as possible because that is primarily how you're going to be getting around and moving. So it's high damage, all the different quality of life stuff like Pierce, Leech, and then high movement. That's it. So now I'm going to go ahead and go over my mercenaries gear because I think that it's kind of a good jumping point. First off, I use Faith. I don't use Beast. Faith has a higher fanaticism, as well as I like using it on a Vigor mercenary because Vigor, again, gives me movement speed, which is great because I am not teleporting. I don't have Enigma. I don't have anything like that. I'm running around. I want to run fast with Vigor. Also, we have Templar's Might. Obviously, Might Aura is very good. This is a pretty bad one, but it is what it is. I use an Andes. This is very good for the Merc because it gives good IAS breakpoints, life leech, stuff like that. But the +2 to all skills bumps up that Vigor aura, which is awesome. This just good quiver, probably all res, life steal, stuff like that. So if I open up this, good frames on the attacks. Then we have Lava Gout, and this is for the enchant fire proc. So this allows fire enchant to go on me and my Merc, giving us a little bit of fire damage, but also a ton of attack rating. That's kind of nice. We have the Razor Tail with Pierce, and that's to give, the Mercenary has 100% Pierce chance, which is great. And then War Travelers to give some extra flat damage and Magic Find. So that is the Mercenary. Alright, now it's time for my Amazon's gear. So my Amazon's gear is pretty good. I have a 6-socket Wind Force with pretty good jewels. I did minimum damage and ED or maximum damage ED. Really, I want damage and enhanced damage. So the flat, whether minimum or maximum, and then as much ED as possible. I didn't really need the attack speed, so you could go like ED, IS, jewels, or whatever, but Wind Force is great. I also really prefer to use a bow. I had a insane crossbow, and that crossbow it did a ton of damage, but since the breakpoints are slower, I felt like even though I was doing way more damage, I was still slower. It's okay if you want to use just a generic crossbow. I would highly recommend going fortified on your maps if you do that. If you want to use like a demon machine, so like I have like a demon machine somewhere. So if you have like a 5-socket demon machine or a 6-socket demon machine, stick with normal maps. But if it's just a really good crafted high DPS bow, if it's a high DPS crossbow, you're going to want to go fortified. Next up, we have a 3 open socket Veil of Steel. I found this, I corrupted it myself. I found this, I corrupted it myself. I know that that's kind of insane. There's some ED jewels in here. I think there's also maybe some minus requirement jewels with the ED because this does require a lot of strength. We have an Atmos. This is really important. The amplified damage on striking is really good. I have a Pierce Corruption on mine. Maybe this costed a Vex to 1 high rune. But yeah, you want to get to 100% Pierce chance. We have a Templar's Might. And this is just really, really good. Again, all res, cannot be frozen, run walk, damage, very, very good. And my friend is joining me in this game, but that's okay. So these, give me 1 second. So these, we have the run walk, we have the Pierce, we have ED, Lifesteal, Deadly Strike. Deadly Strike is huge, and if you see, I do have about 35% Deadly Strike. You want some amount of Deadly Strike, but you don't want to over prioritize it, and I'll talk about that more, but basically the way that Critical Strike works is it's 2 separate rolls, so it doesn't really like add together, but like it does the Critical Strike check, then it does the Deadly Strike check, so you want like a little bit, but you don't need a ton. Next up, we have the Soul Drainers. This just has dual leech and minus PDR on the enemies. That's very, very good. So that's awesome. Wisp Projector for Heart of the Wolverine, as well as +1 all skills. Magic Find's nice. This, I have a Pierce Corruption on my Nosk Oil for the IES, Deadly Strike, Lifesteal, things like that. Pretty great. Carrion Wind. So I decided to use Carrion Wind because the level 30 Twist Arm Striking is just really fun. But also, it's really the highest run walk ring that I could have. And I wasn't really sure what else to use. So like you could use like a max damage like all res ring or really whatever you want here. But I went with this because I like to run around fast. And then finally I have IS run walk boots. As far as the GCs, we have Indian Torch, nothing to write home about, and then it's all either resistance charms or max damage. So that's pretty much it for the gear. On weapon stop we have a CTA with a lidless, and that's it for the gear. All right, so as far as skills go, we're going to be maxing Strafe and Penetrate for its synergy. So it's right here. So we max Strafe, we max Penetrate, and then you have a lot of points to allocate. So I don't really put any in this stuff because I don't care. Honestly, you could maybe go faster if you're really geared with multi-shot over Strafe. But again, I'm playing on the controller. I would hit one button and just delete everything. So I'm just using Strafe. I maxed out Penetrate because it's a synergy. Getting that PDR and that attack rating is nice. Pierce, I maxed it out. I think I'm a little bit overcapped, so like maybe I could respec and save 1 point. I also maxed out Critical Strike to get that as high as possible. After that, you're not putting any in Javelin. You're not putting any in Crossing Bow. So after that, all I really did was I put in points into dodge until I hit an FHR breakpoint I cared about, and I found 20 was sufficient. And then after that, I'm just pumping evade to get more movement speed. Really do whatever you want. If you want Valkyries, if you want decoys or whatever, just do whatever you want. So it is what it is. All right, stats. So as far as stats go, you need enough strength to wear your gear. Obviously, the Veil of Steel and Materials Might is probably the highest strength required, or really it's probably just this. You want enough vitality to not die. And for me, that is about around 900. I don't really die. You probably want about 1,000, but I'm good with 900. And then everything else goes into dex because as you pump up dexterity, it increases your strafe damage. So yeah, that's it for stats. None in energy. Do not put points in energy. Leave that there. I'll grab one of these. And this is probably the most painful part of using a controller. So yep, this is going to have minus max res, ED, 36 increased life means it's going to be a little bit harder to kill them. I'll go ahead and standard it just for funsies. But this will be the map that we run, 175 density, a ton of increased life. So not ideal as far as like speed clearing goes, but it's not bad either. And then I'll just save this map for another day or re-roll it. And yeah, let's go ahead and make a brand new game. And yeah, I'm just using the joystick to move around and navigate, and we're in. We're going over here. I have my map, and we're going in. I'm going to go ahead and chug a potion, and we're going to CTA, and then we're off to the races. So all I'm doing is strafing. I run up, and then I strafe. These guys have quite a bit of health, and that's okay. I'm a little bit rusty because I've actually been playing a little bit of hardcore, and honestly I haven't really been playing as much lately just because I started a new job. It's hard to do that. Oh, hang on 1 second. Right, I've been playing hardcore, so my loot filter is all screwed up. Loot filter needs to be there. Yep, okay. So that'll kill a couple minutes off my my time, but that's okay. Now let's go ahead and run around. And as you can see, I'm pretty easily maintaining about 100,000 DPS. Again, with this amount of max life on the monsters, it might, slow me down a little bit, but I mean, it's perfectly fine. Like, I can look away, I'm just holding strafe and just, who knows what's happening. I'm guessing stuff is dying, I'm just moving around holding strafe. So this allows me to hang out with my wife, watch a show. We just finished up Ted Lasso recently. So, really, anything that allows me to kind of spend a little quality time while watching like mindless shows with the wife and still grind out high runes is definitely big plus in my book. So really enjoying the controller support, and yeah, let's go ahead and find that key event. Hopefully it's down this way. I'm gonna back up a little bit because I think it might have been over here. Go ahead and grab this small charm. Where is... I don't know where it is. Well, that's not good. I guess it might be all the way over here. So this is not a great showcase on how fast I can do this map. That's okay. Where is my key event? So the Holy Freeze is pretty annoying because, yeah, it will freeze you and it'll break your breakpoint. So definitely want to kill those guys and try and stay out of their range, but that's okay. I'm just going to ignore the key event. we find it, we find it. If not, we don't. But it is what it is. At this point, I'm not really running Uber Trist anymore, so who cares? But yeah, so the lifesteal and the mana steal makes this completely like potionless. I mean, if you're scared, you can kind of mash the D-pad and use some potions. There are a couple bosses that you have to do it with, like for example, the Ashen Plains boss. I find that Bork, the whatever guy, he hits pretty hard, and I find that it's a little bit sketchy. So sometimes I'll have to use potions. This boss is particularly easy. I love this map. This is like my favorite map because the corridors are like the perfect width to just walk up and mow them down. I like the monster types. It's a fun map for me. So I really enjoy it, and the boss is super easy for this build. And the reason for that is there's 3 boss heads, and if you line them up with Strafe, you can hit basically all 3 at once. Not always, it kind of depends on their spawn location, but oftentimes you can. And I'm trying to get to the boss. We'll just make our way over there. And yeah, 135,000 sustained DPS, pretty decent, not too bad. Again, this is not, I'm playing on a controller right now. I'm not, I could literally put my feet up and just chill, just hang out. But yeah, it's all about just kind of running around fast and shooting arrows. Nice little Whirlstone Shard. I also find that looting is very quick and easy. I am going to go ahead and rebuff, just because. And there goes the Bone Spears. And really what I do is I generally will go around one outside and then try and pick off a couple ads, and then I'll go all the way around on the other side, pick up all the ads, because I don't really want the strafe shots to be flying outwards away from the boss. I want to have them all go in the same direction. So let's go ahead and finish off this stuff. What is this guy doing? Okay, here we go. Let's go ahead and line him up and light up the boss. If I can try and highlight it. There's a Jawbone Visor, and he's down. So we'll scoop that up. This guy is glitched. And we're back on the trail. Yeah, so pretty easy. Boss drops very quickly. And like I said, I actually, I did more single target. A friend of mine had a crafted crossbow that had like 1k damage top end or whatever, but again, you needed like way more IAS to hit the final breakpoint, and then it still is like kind of shoots slower than bows. So I didn't really like it as much. It felt like my boss damage, like I could kill that boss in like 3 seconds. It felt like, but my overall clear was just weaker and slower. So we found this win for us, and we haven't looked back. But I really appreciate him letting me borrow that. So he let me borrow that item while I farmed, because he didn't have an Amazon. He was playing Assassin's League. And so he let me borrow it while I was farming and getting this character online. So I used that for a while, and as soon as I found the win force, then I was like, okay, really appreciate it. Don't need it anymore. So let's go ahead and... there's Cyclopean Roar on striking. Decent, I'll try and slam that. Trash. It's okay. Vengeance, we'll keep that. Trash. Okay. Anyway, moving on. So, I'm trying to go quickly, but again, this is a showcase on how I actually play on the controller, and I will absolutely be looting everything. Once you get practice with the controller of pressing the left bumper and then, the hotkeys to loot things, it is very quick, especially for like loot goblins, because you can hold like left bumper and just roll your thumb across A, B, X, Y. So that allows you to really easily and quickly loot a bunch of items. So I think there's actually some, some pros to using controllers in controller-based build. And yeah, I landed on this because, I thought about a summoner, I thought about this, I thought about that. I did not want to teleport around. I did not want to actively cast multiple skills. I tried it with Dark Pact, and it was just kind of clunky. And yeah, it's just, I wanted something that auto-targeted. I don't have to position my right thumbstick or anything. That's pretty much it. And Strafe works perfectly. There's a couple other builds that work okay. I tried a Fizz Charger, and I had pretty damn good gear, but honestly, it just felt... It's hard to deviate from a build, because when you try out different builds, and if they're slower than a build you already have up and running, it's hard to kind of stick with it. So yeah, my charger was fine. He was good, but he just wasn't as good as this build, so there's really no point. Yeah, and then I'm trying a variant on the Summon Druid, so I'll have a video on that in a little bit. But yeah, so as long as I can beat this map in about 10 minutes, then I'm perfectly okay with this. And if you want, you can put like multi-shot on, a different button and multi-shot and then strafe, but again, I just right trigger strafe, and that's it for me. You can loot arrows if you want. Generally, I will if I'm on the computer, and then sometimes I'll do it on the controller, but not always. Hey, I found the event. That's not good. That's too late. And I'm like immediately stun locked. Alright, well let's run around and not get any keys. That's hilarious. Well, what you gonna do? Make up for it by finding something good. Yeah, so as far as Physimunes, you do have to wait for an amp proc, but that's okay. When it does happen, you should kill them fairly quickly. This guy's pretty resistant. And that's okay. Big old Fanaticism pack. Hey, my key event's over. We did it. Yeah, that was a mistake. I mean, I could have found it, but I would have wasted time. And again, we're not really farming Ubers at this point. I have a couple keys or torches or whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm also not big on boss farming. I have 2 friends that I play with that they do boss farm. So generally, if I do have materials, I'm just giving it to them, and they will run bosses for me or whatever. I thought about trying to get some duo setups, but honestly, I don't really know if there's much of a point, because bossing, to get a character like bossing ready, you have to kind of gear them out, and to do that for 2 characters is expensive, and then the opportunity cost of like running the boss with 2 characters doesn't really double the reward at all. It just doubles the time taken to kind of like take out the boss. Even if you like, kill a boss in 5 minutes solo and 3 minutes duo, it's still, you had 2 people doing it, so it kind of negates the benefit. So I really don't see a point into duo bossing, but I do have some ideas for it. And that'll kind of come through with the druid that I was talking about a little bit. But yeah, so I'm not much of a bosser. I like grinding maps, so that's how I play Path of Exile as well. I blast maps. I'm not really boss rushing or anything like that. All right, so this is an 11-minute map. This is honestly one of the slowest maps I've done in a while. Normally it's about 8:30 to 9. But again, I'm a little bit out of practice. My loot filter was messed up. Wasted time with the key event. But that's okay. That's it. That's the map. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see y'all next time.